Good afternoon, Professor and fellow classmates. Today I'll be presenting my persuasive speech to my sister Jenna and her friend Garrett. Carter and I will be presenting how to make banana bread. It's very helpful to learn how to make banana bread because bananas rot very fast, and this is a quick and easy way to salvage your rotten bananas. The recipe we'll be using today is by Mike Sabo, Carter's dad. As we are giving the speech on how to make banana bread, I'll also give you some health tips and history on bananas and banana bread. Your first step is to preheat your oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit. As we are waiting for our oven to preheat, we can now gather our ingredients. So now that all our ingredients are out on the counter, our next step is going to be to measure out the correct amounts of each ingredient to mash our bananas up and melt our butter.
If you don't already have overripe bananas, you can speed up the process by using ripe bananas and put them in the microwave. And as you can see, we have two bowls. One's going to be for our dry ingredients and one for our wet ingredients.
The reason why we split them up is to make sure that the wet ingredients are blended well and the dry ingredients are blended well before we mix them together. And it's also easier to spot any clumps in the dry ingredients before we put them in the wet, so we can spot them and remove them before we combine them together. If you like to add a little crunch to your banana bread, you can also add nuts. Nuts are a monounsaturated fat, and they balance your cholesterol and blood sugar levels. You can also replace all-purpose flour with whole wheat flour. Whole wheat flour contains vitamin B6 and magnesium, which help provide you with energy, and it's also a great source of fiber, so it helps with your digestion. And Carter's gonna add the dry ingredients to our wet ingredients and whisk it up until it's all one consistent batter. As he's doing that, I'm going to explain to you guys the history of bananas and banana bread. So bananas are actually not native to North America. They originated in Southeast Asia, and they came along in the 20th century. And during the 20th century, they weren't used as whole ingredients. They were just used as toppings to top off pudding and cake. When they became used as main ingredients during the Great Depression. And during the Great Depression, people didn't want to waste food, even rotten bananas, so they kept those. And also, baking soda and baking powder were being mass produced. So using those two ingredients came along with banana quick bread. Quick bread is a replacement for yeast bread. Yeast bread uses yeast, and it takes time to rise before you have to cook it, so you have to let it sit for about an hour. It's a slower process. Quick bread is a quicker process. It uses baking soda or baking powder instead of yeast, and you have to cook it immediately after you mix it together. Now that we have one consistent batter, our next step is going to be to grease the pan while we're waiting on our oven to preheat.
To grease the pan, we're going to use butter. Some people like to use oil or cooking spray, but I find that oil tends to burn the sides of your loaf. So all we're going to do is take some melted butter, and then you just want to spread it all along your loaf pan, on the bottom and all the sides, and prevents it from sticking to the pan, and it prevents it from burning the sides of your actual loaf. Alright, now that our oven is preheated, what we're going to do is we're going to put our loaf in the middle rack so that it gets even cooking around all the sides, the top and the bottom, and we're going to let it bake for about an hour.
Alright, so we just pulled the banana bread out of the oven and it's already cooked for a full hour. We're going to check to see if it's cooked all the way through. First, I'm going to look to see if there's a consistent brown color all the way around. And it looks like it's all brown. And now we're going to check to see if the inside is cooked. To do this, I'm going to use the toothpick test. So you take a toothpick and you stick it in the center of your loaf. And then you pull it out. And if the toothpick comes out clean, that means it's cooked all the way through. A lot of people use this when they're baking cakes and brownies to check to see that it's been cooked all the way through and it's not doughy at the bottom. And now I'm going to let it cool before we slice it open.
Alright, now that we've let our banana bread cool, the best way to slice it with this specific loaf pan would be to go like this, cut like this. But if you use a different type of pan, just cut it however you think it should be cut or however you want it to be cut. Now, what I do is I just cut the ends off first, because that's my favorite part. And I'm going to put that on a plate. Then we're going to cut an inside piece. Now, the best way to prepare these is whatever you think is right. So, some people like to use butter, cream cheese, peanut butter, Nutella. Sometimes people use jelly. But really, if you don't like any of those things or you don't want anything on it, just eat it how it is. It tastes great. And since we put the sugar on the top, as you'll notice, is the top has a nice little crunch on it and a very good color. That's the caramelized sugar. So that'll add a sweet little crunch when you bite into the top of your bread. So, next time you find yourself with rotten bananas, what are you going to do? You're not going to throw them away. You can make banana bread. Now, the best way to preserve your bananas is to peel them and then put them in a plastic bag and put them in the freezer if you're not ready to make something yet. Now, Mia's going to tell you a couple other uses that you can use bananas for.
So if you have another thing of rotten bananas sitting around and you don't want to make banana bread, some other things you can do with your rotten bananas are you can mash them up and add them in your pancake mix, which will make your pancakes fluffier. You can also add them in your next cookie batter that you make, and that'll make your cookies soft and tender. Another use for rotten bananas that you can do is you can slice them up and freeze them, and then the next day you can take them back out and you can blend them up and make a vegan ice cream. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I hope you guys take advantage of this delicious recipe and make some banana bread yourself.